So a major story in college basketball this week. On Christmas Eve, Baylor announced the signing of a 7-foot center, James Nnaji. He was the 31st overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft, and Nnaji, who never played in the NBA, has enrolled in college for the first time and becomes the first former NBA draft pick to be cleared to play in college basketball. And on Tuesday, as you might expect, NCAA President Charlie Baker issued a statement saying, in part, the NCAA has not and will not grant eligibility to any prospective or returning student athletes who have signed an NBA contract. But he then went on to say rules have long permitted schools to enroll and play individuals with no prior collegiate experience mid-year. And Baker added that he'd be working with the sports leaders after there have been, quote, recent outlier decisions over eligibility. So big-name coaches around the country have weighed in on this. Matt, I'll begin with you. Where do you stand?
I think it just needs to be universal throughout. There's just too many moving targets, and I'm not upset with Coach Drew for doing this. I know some coaches have come out and been like, as coaches, we all have to be on the same. There just needs to be parameters around everything, because it's clearly not illegal for Coach Drew and Baylor to bring him in and add him into their program, especially mid-year.
Yep.
Does it seem a little bit crazy? No question about it, absolutely, but it's not illegal. There has to be parameters around everything. There has to be set rules that everyone's abiding by, and stop with the moving target.
How do you get those? You have a centralized voice. You got to have a commissioner. They need to make somebody the guy in charge, so there's one voice, so everybody is on the same page. I mean, Jay Wright's not in the game anymore. Coach K's not in the game anymore. Leonard Hamilton, one of these guys who's a legend in their own right. Bruce Pearl is doing some broadcasting at another network. Make one of those guys the guy who's in charge, so there's no question. So everybody understands what the playing field is. I also have to caution everybody out there, the fans and how they knew college basketball in the romanticized years, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s. Those days are over. So now that we know, for better or for worse, and however you feel is how you feel, it's changed. So what are we going to make it? I think it should try to become the breeding ground for the next level of basketball. Bring in whomever you want from, as long as there's stipulations. You cannot declare for the NBA, keep your name in the draft, get drafted, and come back. That's a no-no. International rules for those young men and women that are coming in should be the same for the Americans. Everything needs to be on the same playing field. But ultimately, everything needs to be defined so you don't have great coaches like Tom Izzo, Coach Cal, getting up there, Matt Painter, and saying, we don't know what's going on. If the confusion is with the coaches, better believe it's with the players, and then certainly it's with the fans, and what you have is a product that is tarnished. So they've got to get on the right page with all that stuff, Coach. That seems pretty simple. Just start with somebody at the top that can lay this whole thing out, and they're better off for it.
Yeah, no question. I think you bring up some great names that, you know, left the game for some of these
reasons. Yeah.
Left it,
so
because there hasn't been the leadership that they needed in terms of making sure it's a level playing ground. International players, American players, whatever it is, it needs to be the same throughout, so you eliminate that confusion.
Yeah, and I just do think it's a shame that the game that we came up watching is different, but there's some great benefits. These athletes should get some money, should have an opportunity to, with what their ability is, be compensated. The transfer rules do need to change, because in the real world, there are contracts, right? Like, you sign a contract. You can't just pick up today and go, I'm done with this show. I'm going to go do the show over here. No, Cornette, that's not how it works. Well, you're teaching me that's how it works in college when when it's not defined. So there are things they need to drill down on, but you can't drill down on them if everybody's just kind of marching to the beat of a drum that really doesn't have a rhythm, because there's no definition there. So I think it starts with a centralized voice.
And don't have a fear of saying, we have no problem being the developmental ground, like the G League.
Just be it.
Just be it.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Jack. Like, look, it may turn some people away. You're not going to please everybody, but it's where it's going. So just own it and just say, hey, we're not the college basketball of old. Times have changed. This is what we are now, and let everybody understand what we are, so the product can be understood by all and appreciated and desired by all.
They are who we thought they were. Let's